Hello, my name is Bea and I'm a hydration and nutrition specialist. And today I have a very special guest with me who I'm going to introduce you in a second. We are back together for part two of two parts videos, which is for holistic approach to health and well-being. There are five pillars to your health and well-being, and they are hydration, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. In part one, we discussed hydration, nutrition, exercise, and today we're going to discuss stress management and sleep. So, my special guest is Laura Dixon. She's a friend of mine, and she is a personal trainer. She's a yoga instructor, the same as me, a hydration specialist, and since recently, a qualified certified EFT practitioner. Hi, Laura, for part two.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So nice to have you back. We had such a amazing part one. So do you
hmm
guys watch it on replay if you haven't seen it? And we're excited to dive deeper into part two. So
hmm
to start with the latest news, so exciting. Please tell us about your EFT certification and
Yes.
what's the story behind it, and
hmm
actually what is EFT and what
Yep.
does it do for those who don't know?
Yeah. So EFT, I always say, is also known as tapping. So some people have heard of tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, which is really what it is. So most of us are, we may not even realize, but we're living in a constant stress state. I think just even the way society is right now with social media, just everyone's busy and everyone's very stressed. So, emotional freedom technique or tapping is using all you're doing is actually using your fingertips, okay, and tapping on certain end meridian points. So, if you think of acupuncture, this is like acupressure. So, you don't actually need the needles to hit these end meridian points to start moving energy in our bodies. We can just use our fingertips. So, there's the main kind of points here on our face. And like I showed, side of the hand, there's a collarbone point under the arm, top of the head. So those are kind of the main points we use. And what's happening is when we're doing this, we're actually usually saying negative things. So, which seems very opposite to most of us are like positive affirmations, all that stuff. But what it's doing is instead of shutting down and or stuffing down negative emotions, anger, sadness, we've always been told big girls don't cry or whatever it is. Crying's not good. We don't cry in sports, all that kind of stuff. We're allowing our bodies to actually feel it and then release it. So while you're doing the tapping and talking about the negative emotion or negative event, or it's usually a negative emotion around an event, you're allowing your amygdala, which is your little almond shaped flight or fight response in your brain, it's calming that down. So I've had so many people when we're doing sessions, they get this, I feel a complete feeling. It's because you're finally releasing that stress. For some people, it's just because they're just in this constant state of high stress. You start to release that, and then the brain starts to think clearer. I've had people with work go all of a sudden because the stress, just doing the tapping session, she was like, I actually want to go to work right now because I feel so clear. I feel like ready to go. So like you get energized. You release. So a lot of the times, like I was saying with an event, is there's a negative emotion, right? Maybe someone said something that you didn't like and you're still holding on to it. So we can relive the event, tap through the negative emotions. Maybe we're feeling it in our body. So a lot of the times, what did you see? What did you hear? And when we start to clear that, we start to clear that event. And without trying to get too far, the events are a lot of our limiting beliefs are supported by events. So we think of a tabletop as our limiting belief. They're supported by all these events, a lot of the times back to our childhood. So when we can start to clear the events, clear the negative emotions, we can topple down that tabletop or that limiting belief, and the results are amazing. So It's amazing for stress reduction. It's amazing for working on goal. Honestly, it's everything. Working on goals. You could do physical pain, really anything, anxiety, confidence, anything like that is just amazing because it's calming your system down and then it allows your brain to think clearer and maybe memories that a lot of the times it's memories come up that you didn't even think. You're like, like myself included, when I've done my own sessions, like, I don't know why that memory came up. But it's basically your subconscious is ready to clear it. So it allows it to come to the surface and so you work through that memory and any emotions that were associated with it. So it's super amazing. Now I know you tried. We did an EFT session
Uh,
together,
yes,
which
yes, I
was super
did.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
Uh,
your experience from your side.
yes, I just had a question. Am I right in thinking that, let's say there was an event or something, and it's associated with, let's say, a high arousal state. When you do the tapping, you lower the arousal. So if a similar situation happens in the future, you're not
Hmm.
triggered to get as stressed.
Yes.
Is that right? So it's kind
A
of,
hundred.
yeah.
100% because when we go into an event where we've had an event similar and we have that high arousal, we go into a similar event and we're up here again. So think of like public speaking, for example, right? If you've always
Mhm.
been so nervous and maybe you've had an event where you've totally blanked out, like for I have an example of being at a piano recital or a competition and I totally forgot my song. Like I got up there and you don't have your music. I just got up there and the girl before me was doing the same song and forgot hers. And then all of a sudden I went up there and forgot. But that was an event, like I've actually worked on that with the EFT. I'm like, I wonder if that's why I feel this block sometimes when I go to speak or, someone asks me a tough question. So there's so many things, but when you can, yeah, clear that or that arousal, you can go into a similar event and feel much more calm. So yes, exactly what you said.
Yeah, I was just kind of recycling my experience, trying to put like reasoning behind it. So yes, I had the same EFT with Laura, which was amazing. It was such a relaxing, calm experience. You were so professional. You were very kind and compassionate as well. I felt very safe in your hands, which I think is really
Thank you.
important
Mm-hmm.
because there has to be that mutual trust. And unlike, I know that some people will say, well, you can maybe go to YouTube or you can buy a book. What happens is when you go to someone like Laura, you get a very personalized, individual approach. You can
Mm-hmm.
work around a specific memory or event, which is exactly what we did. And although I have tried tapping before, I've tried it like in a group setting with
Mm-hmm.
other people on
Mm-hmm.
something that in hindsight I think was probably too generic for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we were able to get down to one specific event. And I must say, I did have a situation recently, you will understand, where I did feel very differently. So we definitely
Good.
achieved something. High
Yay.
five.
Woohoo. I
It
just gave me
definitely
chills.
was.
It gave
Yeah.
me chills. I'm like, that's
And
so awesome. It sounds so woo-woo and like, come on, how can that? I've had multiple experiences now where exactly that. And I'm like, oh, I'm reacting totally differently. And you're trying to keep it like, wow, I'm coming
yeah,
across way more confident with this than I normally would. Or like there's certain people will ask you certain things and you get this feeling inside. And then if that's something you're tapping on, I've had the same thing. And then someone asks you that later and you're like, you feel totally good talking about it and fine with it.
yeah,
It's
absolutely. So
amazing.
I would just say, you won't know unless you try, and
Hmm.
you don't have. Sorry, something's come up.
It's okay.
It's you've got nothing to lose, only to gain, 100%. And let's talk about another passion of yours, which we touched on briefly before, but because it's probably the most important pillar, I think we need to talk about it again. And it's something that we both share, is the water technology in our homes. So
Yes.
let's talk about hydration.
Yeah, so hydration is super important for me. And again, I'm a personal trainer, yoga instructor, and now the EFT. So, from all aspects of that, our bodies are, there's an average between like around 70% water. So, when you're putting the best 70% in, you're going to get great results. And, especially if you're working out, moving, you've got the tight muscles, the lactic acid isn't moving. When you get this water in you, everything's flushing out. So what the stuff your body doesn't need, and that includes, inflammation. So many people, especially as we get older, struggle with pain in the joints. I have a lot of people with knees, shoulders, elbows. So when you start to drink this water, it helps to clear that inflammation out, and it allows your body ultimately wants to heal itself. So this water, because again, our bodies are, let's just say 70% water, give or take, it's allowing your body to help heal itself, which is where it wants to be. Because the water is so full of antioxidants, which I don't know if a lot of people realize that. I think like people think it's a good filter. It's not. There's a filter there, but it's beyond what a filter does. I was drinking 4 liters of filtered tap water before I started drinking this. And the first day I started drinking it, stuff was going on in my gut that I knew that I'm like, okay, something's going on here. And the only thing I've changed is the water. So I knew right away that something was good about this water, and it was doing something. So I love sharing it from a releasing physical pain perspective. There's a weight loss perspective, because what's happening is most water is sitting outside our cell and we're just peeing it out. But when we can get this water, then the molecules are smaller and it's actually penetrating through the cell, full of antioxidants. It's grabbing the toxins, which is what water is supposed to do, and then it's flushing it out. I mean, I know if I've had something my body doesn't want, and then I always start my day with about 1 liter of water. It's my body's like, yeah, my body didn't want that, and it's flushing it out without getting into too many details. But I'm like, at least I know like the water is grabbing stuff my body does not want, and it's getting rid of it. Um, which is just so important for all aspects, because our body's full of toxins in general, just from the Wi-Fi, from the stuff we eat. I mean, it's endless. And then obviously good for the environment. We're not using plastic water bottles and all of that. So water is just a huge piece of the puzzle. I know you agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we can hear a little bit about your passion for water as well.
Yes, as I said in part one, that I was sitting on the fence for too long, really, because I was doing a lot of research. And actually, a side note for those who would like to do more research, please reach out to myself and Laura, because there's a lot of confusing information. There's a lot of mistruths on the internet, and we
Mm-hmm.
can direct you, in the right direction to do that. If you just start Googling stuff, this water space is probably even more confusing than the food supplement space.
Mm-hmm.
I think sadly, people don't realize they actually have a problem. And I've recently went away for a weekend where I wasn't able to take my water with me. Oh my God, the thirst that I experienced was absolutely awful. And I was drinking this water from a plastic bottle. First of all, excuse my language, I thought was absolutely disgusting. And I just felt I was drinking this dead water, sat in that bottle for months, if not years,
Years.
all the
Yep.
chemicals from plastic leaching into that water, and I'm drinking it. And then secondly, I could almost feel like it was just sitting
Sitting.
in my stomach, and I was just going to the toilet every half an hour. So it was virtually going through, and my body was thinking, what the hell is
Yeah.
this?
What are you doing?
Yeah, and so you don't realize unless you have experienced this, supreme hydration, because most of the population is chronically dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fact, and
Mm-hmm.
also that we settle for feeling crappy. We just get
Yes.
used to that. We don't have energy. That we are sedating ourselves with Netflix and wine, and that we are stressed, and we just accept that that's just how life is. Well, actually, you get to feel amazing
Mm-hmm.
if you allow your body to heal itself, and if you allow your body to work at its optimal level,
Mm-hmm.
without sounding cheesy. You can thrive, not just survive. And this
Yeah.
is most likely the answer for that. The energy is on a different level. If I don't know if it's an English saying, they say that in Latvia, if I only had the energy of a 5-year-old, I
Mm-hmm.
could run the world. Well, I
Right.
would say if you have this water, then you will have that kind of energy to run the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you say, cheesy. The slogan is "Change your water, change your life," but it really
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah.
so true. Like I can't even imagine now
I
life without
understand.
that water.
And now about movement. So everything that you do, Laura, just complements each other so beautifully. So you have the water technology, you have the EFT, and you've got the movement, and all of these things just work in a beautiful harmony together, don't they, to help with that stress management?
Yeah, that was definitely when I didn't haven't talked about it in this one, but I left a corporate job and my goal was to help people that work or are stressed out, to help them through movement because, I was working out every morning and people were asking me, "How do you get up that early?" I'm like, "How do you not?" I was just like, I have so much more energy no matter how much sleep I did or didn't get, at least doing some movement in the morning. I felt so much more energized. I got to my desk and I was ready to go. I didn't just sit in traffic for an hour, 2 hours and feel lethargic and not want to do anything. So it's always been my mission to help people with movement. So I did my personal training. I teach yoga. I do a lot with the yoga tune-up balls, which is, especially if we're stressed, our shoulders end up here, our bodies hold on to a lot of that stress. So I work with people on rolling out with the yoga tune-up balls as well. And it just really helps people decrease their pain, lessen their stress or the body or the where the body's holding all that stress, help to loosen that up, which then makes you more willing to want to be able to do some movement because if you're all like this the whole time, right, our bodies don't want to move. So it's just movement such a key for me with releasing stress, releasing physical pain. And yeah, there's a piece of it for movement and weight loss, but it's the biggest pieces for me would be the stress management and releasing the physical pain. I think weight loss to me is a positive side effect of actually all of these things and body confidence. So it's just, I love movement to help people feel better, always try and make it fun. Um, and just, you know what, and it's always like, whatever you have today, some days are going to be better than others. When I teach, it's always like I provide so many options. It's like, whatever you have today, if that's just marching in place, you're doing more than sitting on the couch and you made it here.
Mm.
Right. And then again, I think we talked about it in the first video, is when you just start doing something, you actually usually want to start doing more. So if you can just get yourself down there, start marching, you're like, huh, maybe I can add some squats in here. Oh, maybe depending on your weight. So maybe I can do some chest presses or working on some strength. So that is definitely so key for stress management and physical pain. So
Definitely. Awesome. So if anybody has got any questions about any of these five pillars, your hydration, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management, please reach out to either one of us. And you, Laura, are you going to post some links to for people to know how they can
yeah,
explore working with you in different ways?
for sure. I can do that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Great.
so much. What an awesome talk. And
So
yeah,
fun.
give us some love and share this video with friends if you think anybody would benefit from this information. Sharing is caring, and let's spread the importance of holistic approach to our health and well-being.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.